Hello, is this thing on? Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the lower league look. And it's time for a breakdown.
The Monday night breakdown. That's
the Monday night breakdown. No, I mean, let's be brutally honest. It wasn't even meant to be a breakdown, but I spent a lot of time editing that video and then realised that I'd done it for the wrong day. So we just did a breakdown anyway.
And I've just looked at 11 tweets from Chesterfield about Paddy Madden.
So Hannah's having a breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah. Just a, regular Monday evening barn door breakdown.
Yes. Well, welcome everyone. And we are mid-playoffs. We have finalists, Hannah.
That means it's 12 months since we started doing the podcast, because we started doing them as the playoffs started last season.
See, now you're making me think about last season, which has just pissed me off.
Yeah, but Carlisle got their comeuppance. It's all fine.
They got their come downers as well.
Yeah.
Immediately, Hannah, let's address the elephant. Paddy definitely gone to a lower.
Yeah, it's the funny one. So there's no secrecy around it. County offered him a 1-year contract that he didn't want to take. He wanted 2 years. So Mark Stotts said, in the past, there's no room for sentimentality in football. And I think, as wrong as it is to see him in that shirt, it just, like I said to you earlier, it looks like he's been photoshopped onto it.
Yeah.
It makes sense for him and for his family. And he's obviously not ready to finish his career just yet. And he spent a lot of time this season on the bench. So
yeah.
There's, you would expect that to be even more the case next season, potentially. He was exceptional towards the end of the season, but didn't have that much game time beforehand. So I think it's a sensible decision for him. I think, will.
17 goals last season for a player that spent most of it on the bench is a very, very, very good return.
We got there were hat tricks against Salford in the Pizza Cup, hat trick against Sutton, was it, towards the end of the season. He's obviously our penalty taker, although when we were watching Crewe and Donny on Friday night.
Friday's game. I'll talk about that one.
He does a little bit of a run up sometimes, and whenever he does it, it ends badly. But I don't know how many of his goals scored last season were. God, it's already last season. This season were from penalties.
Yeah. It's a good signing for Chesterfield. Chesterfield with Paddy Madden and Will Grigg up top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was the first. Like at first, people were like, "Oh, well, where's Will Grigg going to fit with this? He won't be happy about it." But actually, Paddy sat back a little bit, works well. So presumably they'll be going for that. It's and Paul Cook's a County fan. Because there's been all sorts of rumours. We were told that he was potentially going to Crewe, Fleetwood.
Being brutally honest, we were told Crewe was a done deal.
Blackpool was mentioned, I think, yesterday. But yeah, he's. I think he'll be brilliant for them. They're lucky to have him. They've got Ash Palmer as well, so they can link up again. Ash Palmer's a lovely lad with a magic hat.
AJW, obviously a Bradford fan. I don't know if you can tell. Here's the thing. I believe that even though it's the first, or I think one of the first, is the signing of the summer.
Well, Chesterfield have put all of their eggs in baskets. There was teasers. I mean, they weren't massively teasing. It was like a pint of Guinness, and then what else?
St. Paddy's
St.
Day.
Paddy's Day. And that there's videos. There's literally 11 consecutive tweets. That's what their social media, because Chesterfield a year or so ago used to have this thing about taking their players to the big Tesco around the corner from the ground and doing signing photos there, because it was always like, oh, Paddy Madden's been spotted in big Tesco.
So, and they haven't done that today?
No. They're back in the Football League. No room for pissing around now.
What a joke. Imagine we say that Hartlepool used to do theirs in Nando's.
Yeah. Same
kind of
thing. Yeah.
All fun. Leon saying he hopes Luke Young gets a good club. He will. You've got to feel that he will. There's not going to be many players leaving the likes of County, Wrexham, Mansfield that played a part last season that won't get good clubs. Or won't go into clubs and be the big person, the big name. I think all of them will be good, but that's the latest signing. I know you didn't want to talk about it. You obviously found out at Crewe, Donny, last week that he'd been released.
Yeah,
in the cruelest way possible.
I know, and I said that I was with. So on Saturday I did the Stockport County Trophy Tour. So for those of you that are not familiar with the Trophy Tour, Steve Bellis, who is the club president, takes the trophy round pubs and sports clubs in Stockport. So they did this 2 years ago, and it goes like, there's a schedule. The schedule is somewhat flexible in terms of it ultimately takes longer. So we started at 2, we did 9 pubs and finished. I think I got home back to the girls about 10 o'clock to pick them up from my parents. And it was just lovely. It was you talk about, like, it's obviously mental health week, mental health awareness week this week. And it was one of those days that just like fills you up with like joy and happiness. And to go to people's houses that, maybe are living with cancer, they in palliative care, they don't have very long, and then the little kids, the photos with the 4 generations of people, it was just the loveliest way to spend a day. And we are so lucky. I don't imagine that many football clubs would do that. So that was my Saturday. But Liam Richardson, who does Stockport County's social media, was with me, and I said to him, "You broke my black heart on." We were at Crewe. I was reading it, and I knew that there was a chance. I was like, and he wasn't on the list, and then I kept scrolling, and then my lips started wobbling.
There were actual tears.
The actual tears, yeah. The dog's retaining his name in tributes.
He's not dead.
No, I know, but like people kept saying to me, "You're going to change the dog's name?" No.
Oh well. Look, you got to take the trophy around, which that makes up for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, well, I sent you that picture. There was one point on Saturday night when I was just sat there in a bar with the League 2 trophy on the table in front of me. Like, who gets to do that? It's insane.
I know. Not jealous at all.
That was my refilling of my mental health cup, and it was bloody lovely. So I'm all sweetness and light now, and could even cope with Chesterfield's 11 tweets about Paddy Madden.
Well, it's not stopping at 11. Let's be honest. There's
probably been another 3 while we've still
been doing this.
Yeah.
Question that's come in, and it's something we were just talking about before we started. Like, how does Jake Young start for Bradford next season? I don't think he does. I think he leaves this summer. I don't want him to, but I think he'll go to Carlisle. I still think that deal's there.
Well, that was when Harry Lewis went. That was the rumblings at the time, wasn't it? That both of them were going to go.
Yeah.
And then obviously Jake went back to Bradford. He's had surgery. Is he kind of fully fit and back to?
He's back on grass.
Back on grass.
Yeah, but he's. I mean, I don't know if he's fully fit. I don't think he's match
Right.
fit. But obviously, he's got the summer. He's in Miami at the minute.
Nice.
Yeah, he went to Miami last week, or the back end of last week. I think maybe Friday. And yeah, so again, it's one of those things. It's similar to Elliot Watt. Players who've gone away early know what they're doing. They know where they're going. They know when.
Mm-hmm.
I think Carlisle are going to come in for him. I hope that as well. I do hope he doesn't, because I really want to see him. And it was one of the reasons, like, I spoke to him a lot in January when Carlisle were in. And I just kept saying to him, you're not scoring 16 goals at Swindon, coming back here doing fuck all and leaving. Like, sorry, no, that's not happening. And he always laughed about it. And he really wanted this second half of the season to go differently. But Swindon played in the last, I think it was 7 games that he was there injured. And he was literally hobbling through games.
Yes.
So fair play to him for doing what he did on loan. But I want to see him do it for us now.
And one of the things, I mean, we'll get on to Crewe and Crawley and MK Dons and Donny, but one of the things that Lee Bell said about the Crewe team on Friday night is that quite a few of them are like 50% injured. And we said this about County last season. I remember seeing Ryan Rydell just covered in blood after the Salford game, and they don't have, it's like a week to get sorted. And yes, adrenaline will. Who was it that we interviewed? And they'd played at Wembley with, is it David Artell? Someone had played at Wembley with like a broken ankle or something ridiculous, and it was the adrenaline, and I can't remember who it was. But
we didn't do the same Artell interview, did we?
Oh no, maybe not.
I came in naked after you'd finished recording with Artell.
Might have been.
It's got to have been Artell. Oh, Redfern?
It could have been Redfern. Whoever it was playing for Oldham. So that would have been Redfern, wouldn't it? Probably.
I believe so.
Anyway, whoever it was had said, that they absolutely weren't fit to play. Connor Jennings is another example. After he was in a coma, like 48 hours before he played at Wembley. And it's that proper big game energy that gets you through, and some serious painkillers. Yeah,
it'll be Redfern if it's Oldham. Artell and no connection to Redfern, to Oldham. Sorry. Look, it's a once in a lifetime for a lot of these players.
Yeah, and actually, the ones like even our players who lost ultimately last season said that it was, it's the experience, it's to go with their families, it's a big day.
It's a huge day.
And that whole walking down not the Wembley way, whatever it's called now, but it is still kind of the Wembley way. Hang on, Liam, what's your water bottle?
I found it in the Crewe end on Friday night. It's not Lo Tatala's bottle though, because this was at full time, and it says Ironside score, Westbrook miss, Miller score, Bailey score, Adelekun, new name, miss, and then it just says Donny out. It got lobbed at me, it got launched, so brought it home, free bottle, kept the label. One of a kind. Up the Crewe.
I can't remember. It's more likely to be the Crewe goalkeepers with notes like that on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what though? The TLT's water bottle. I mean, immaculately done. I mean, I love a good. You've seen Will Moorcroft's notes, right? For when he's commentating, they're absolutely beautiful. And that water bottle was up there with Will Moorcroft's notes, although Will Moorcroft's notes are handwritten.
And his handwriting's tiny and so neat.
Oh my God, they're beautiful. But yeah, you know, the player like young boy. Like,
that was a bit much,
you get into your head, his head, like what was that for? But
Yeah.
you know, everyone taking a penalty has free will and determinism. There is nothing to guarantee that they will do exactly what's on that water bottle. I mean, it's a little bit pettier, I think. People know, you know, they have it on pieces of paper or like.
Well, he got another copy.
Did he? Oh, was
Yeah.
that what was passed to him by the photographer?
Right. He kept passing it back to the photographer and to make sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for that level of shithousery. To see the Crewe keeper pick it up and throw it in the crowd is. I mean, I didn't even notice it at the time.
No, I didn't. I saw the photographer pass something back to the this is why I call him TLT. I'll continue with that. But yeah, I didn't see that in the first place. There was a photo on a tweet on Twitter saying it could have killed someone. I really hope that they were being dramatic, but
I mean, they were definitely being dramatic, but I mean, Christ, yeah, could have killed someone.
They were good penalties.
They were very good penalties. It was one of those penalty shootouts. It was weird because even on that last one, I didn't even realize was the last one.
Yeah,
but neither did the keeper.
No,
because he sort of turns and celebrates, and then he looks back and he realizes that his teammates are running towards him, and you see him his attitude change. I didn't even realize. So when Adelika missed, I sort of went, oh, and I thought they could lose this, but they had. And I think a lot of Donny fans didn't process at the time that when you look at that team, that's the last thing most likely that Adelika would do for them. Luke Molyneux, it's probably his last game. There's a few that are probably never going to play for them again, and it's like, wow. Craig, I think one of them. I just think, fucking hell, like we said it last Tuesday on the live show watching the Crawley game. We said to the Donny fans that they would regret not taking advantage of how bad Crewe were on the Monday, and that they should have won by more. And look, one more goal in that first leg, and Donny are in the final.
Yeah, Crewe have been the comeback kings all season, and Lee
From
Bell,
2 down.
Always from 2 down.
Yeah.
Always, and normally to win 3-2, but at the very least draw on 2-2. And Lee Bell said at the end in his kind of post-match stuff after the first leg, you know, we're 2-0 down at half time. And that's with any 2-leg game, that's a good attitude to have. You know, it's not insurmountable, is it? But they're one of only 4 teams that have ever overturned a 2-0 deficit after the first leg to get through to the final. So, you know,
complete opposite game, wasn't it? Like the Crewe, Donny were as bad as Crewe were on the Monday, and vice versa. Like then Crewe were as good as Donny were on the Monday. Here's the thing. So, in any other scenario, if I was looking at the playoffs right now, I would say Crewe will have the momentum because they'll be riding that wave. They've come back from 2-0.
Favourites. I was looking at No, they absolutely shouldn't be.
They shouldn't be. And that is...
And for the first time, normally, I bet against teams... Like, I bet against the opposite outcome because I never win bets.
Yeah.
But I don't... I mean, it's no secret that I bet against Crawley from the outset. And...
Scott Lindsay has had let's just go into more detail on that. Scott Lindsay, in an interview, named you... this season.
Not me personally.
No,
but
he did. He named your article.
He
named your article, and he has it pinned up in the dressing room. Like, you wrote his team speech for every game, and that is amazing.
But on Saturday, he said that he was dedicating the win to everyone who'd kind of put them expected them to go for relegation. So I've never had a game dedicated to me before, so that was nice.
But let's be honest, it wasn't just people outside of Crawley. Crawley fans were the same.
It was not a crazy take by any stretch of the imagination. It was, you wouldn't say, oh, who do you think is going to go down, Hannah? Crawley. And then you wouldn't get 15 people saying, oh, what have you been smoking?
You're wrong. Yeah, you're wrong. Yeah. There's no way. It was like unanimous, wasn't it? Everyone thought it. But let's talk Crawley, because I don't know if you've seen, Hannah. We've got the Crawley zone, Matty making the impossible possible. Red Army. Even Edgeworth's getting in on Crawley Town.
Says that Crawley are favourites. That's the new, because when I looked, Crewe were evens and Crawley it wasn't massive, 6-4 or something like that. So that's changed. That has shifted then.
Let's have a look.
Unless I was looking at promotion rather than the match. I don't know what I was looking at. But Crewe were definitely evens.
I will find out and just search on League 2.
Oh, just before we move on to Crawley, Crewe have gone early with their new shirt for the 24-25 season.
They have, yeah.
Change of emblem. So they have traditionally had the white kind of background shield thing, and it's just black on the red and black shirt. If you order it by, I think it's 4 o'clock tomorrow, you get it in time for the game. Do you know what I feel about this? My dad bought last season's county home kit the week of the playoff final. So he was buying it knowing that it was only going to be current for one game. So I suppose it's kind of the opposite of that. Yeah. When we went, they had all their kits on sale. So they've probably sold the home kits off for 20 quid each, because I don't know whether it wasn't. It was the second and third kits, wasn't it?
It was all of them. It was all of them.
Was it?
All three, yeah. That's why I bought one.
No. It might be that they're fulfilling a need in terms of people will want to buy kits to wear club colours.
And they've got none left.
No, yeah, they've got none left and won't have sizes. Whether they are planning to wear it, which,
I don't know if they'd actually be able to, because you have to register kits, don't you, for the season? You have to submit them. So I don't think they'd be able to. I was thinking about that after I mentioned it earlier, but they are right. Crawley are favourites. I think they're saying here they weren't favourites before the MK game, because obviously they
that could have been when I looked.
But now they are quite far in front favourites, and
despite having lost twice to Crewe this season.
Yeah.
I'm just bringing out I don't think the playoffs are almost like a separate mini season. It doesn't matter at all.
It's actually did you know, from what I've read, and I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm not, it's the biggest ever playoff win.
It has to be, surely.
Over 2 legs, yeah. And they were dominant, and that was what Doncaster didn't do, and they should have done it. Crawley just kept going, and they spoke about, and I felt bad for Williamson, because he spoke about before the game. He actually said the first goal is so important. They need to come out of the traps and they need to be firing. And it was quick. 2.5 minutes.
Yeah,
a slip at the back, and then for the second goal, which was Orsi, and it was he was kind of running parallel with the box, but the defender just backed off. And being completely honest, it should have been saved. It wasn't a great goal. Both the first and the second goals were similar. Just the P rolled along the floor into the corner, and the keeper just didn't get to it. But they were relentless, and I am all for it, because do you know what? I'm happy for the Crawley fans, but I'm also happy for the owners.
Yeah.
I know they did a lot of shit, and I know they got a lot of grief, but they said when they first came in, if they haven't got promoted at the end of the second season, they'll hold a vote as to whether they carry on as the two that are in charge. And it's then at the beginning of the season, they stood by it. They were actually asked halfway through the season, is that still going to happen? And they said yes. they're 90 minutes away from promotion, and you've got Bradford fans who are talking about them now because they obviously nearly bought us. In fact, they did buy us before they bought Crawley. It just everything fell through with other stuff, but it's like people are saying, and there was an argument earlier I read it. Someone said, "Imagine if we'd had these, we'd be on our way out of League Two." And then they were talking about, well, they said the reason it's nothing to do with them two, the owners, why they're out of League Two. It's because they left the manager to it, and they've got the right manager. And the comment was, but they've identified the right manager.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. And
you know, I've got my kind of theory about Crawley and the level of success that is that all of the decisions have been football first. They've not got a CEO. They're not, as far as we know, Preston, Eben, you know, that cohort aren't massively involved in on the pitch decisions. And in fairness, they weren't really last season. I don't think it was and that was the problem, wasn't it? The whole Sidemen stuff, and you know, it was marketing and it was brand and profile raising. No one ever played for them. Yeah.
No, but when they were doing shit, yeah. But the reason that no one played for them is because Toby, who was the sideman that they chose, he refused.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he said he didn't want to because it was the FA Cup. But yeah, I mean, like it's a strange situation because they should have obviously not done some stuff last season. Had they had the season on the field, if had the season they've had this season, happened last season, and they'd done the Sidemen stuff, it wouldn't have been as big a thing. It was because they were sat at the bottom, and then Scott Lindsay came in, and they've just left him to it, and it's good to see. And like, I'm happy for them. I'm happy for the fans, and because you know they look like they were going out of the league, and everybody kind of just accepted it. But even they didn't expect this. As the owners, they didn't see this as achievable, really, and not at the beginning of the season. They didn't think that this was going to happen.
No. And the other thing that changed as well when Scott Lindsay came in is, you know, with Chris Galley, they'd had all of this data, but no one had ever used it. And that was the difference. Like, they'd gone from, you know, trying to emulate Brentford, I think it was, wasn't it, in terms of the data. Go on.
No, it's the opposite. So I had this conversation with Preston this season. The data approach, they didn't actually start the data approach on the field until after Scott Lindsay came in. Before Scott Lindsay came in,
I thought they had it but just weren't using it.
We all thought that they were doing the whole XG and all this stuff. When Kevin Betsy and Matthew Everington were in charge, they didn't. It was all traditional football approach. This season is all data-based. It's XG. That's all their signings that they made are based on data. And it's weird because everyone thinks that they started with data and then backed off and they've gone to traditional football and they've done well. It's actually the opposite. They've done data-driven this season and it's fucking worked. And like you say, the footballing decisions have been made by Scott Lindsay. The data they've worked on and just given that data to Scott Lindsay. They've done what Sandro Di Michele should have done at Swindon for Scott Lindsay. I mean, look, he said it here. Swindon missed out. I agree. And look, Swindon missed out in a sense of if they were right off the field, it could have worked. It would have never worked. And I think even Scott appreciates that himself. He understands. But the issue wasn't Scott Lindsay, as we've seen. You know, you've gone through multiple managers since, and everything seems to still be going wrong. So Scott Lindsay wasn't the problem. But yeah, had they had the right stuff off the field, he could have been a success there. And he wanted to be a success there. Question?
No.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Right. So let's say that this kind of football first, data driven approach.
Yeah.
There's nothing to stop that working in League One. Nothing at all.
No.
They've got, they keep people like Orsi. They'll be able to bring people in who will be looking for progression to League One. Maybe they go rooting through Gillingham the same way that it's gone the other way for the last kind of year.
Yeah.
So maybe it's fine. Maybe, all of the chaos that there has been off the pitch, none of that matters if the on the pitch stuff and the back room is sound, and there's nothing to suggest that would change.
I just hope that they don't revert back in a sense of, if they get promoted, I hope the owners don't go, we've got a little bit of a cushion here, and start up again off the field, because that can be, it could drag them back. And I think right now, just leave it. Do not rock that boat. Scott Lindsay has got this going. I mean, we could go back. I could go back right now onto Crawley's Twitter. I could pull up every single tweet from when they signed players. Liv's just walked in, so Tilly's going nuts here. I could pull up every single tweet announcement from every signing that they made, and we could just go through the comments.
Oh, yeah.
You would probably struggle to find a positive on a lot of them, because someone actually wrote the list of where they signed the players from, and it shouldn't have worked. If you go off of just pure football, like signing players from these places, it doesn't work. But they've signed them. They've realised they have a gap in this place, so they've signed someone for that little thing, and together it created this team. And it's I mean, look, we're going down, not down like we thought Crawley were, but we're going down to Wembley. I
was like Bradford. I mean, like,
no, I hope not. Jesus, no, we're going down to Wembley, which is going to be. I think it's going to be fun. Eben apologised to the fans for last season on the train home Saturday night. I think they've learned their lesson. So just Matty, Eben was here. Like, Eben came over. Is that because I didn't know he'd come over? I know Preston came over. That's a massive step that they've acknowledged they did, because Preston knew that they'd made mistakes. Eben's, from when I've spoke to him, I know he can be quite stubborn, and he knows what he's doing. Like, he does know what he's doing, but it doesn't always come across in that way. And I think, he was on the. I didn't even see him on the TV. Mind you, I didn't watch the whole game.
Well, no, because I rang you at the end as I was driving home from trophy tour, and you were asleep.
I did so much Billy Bantam this weekend. I am exhausted. Do you know what? Fair play to them both. I do like them both. Me and Eben had a big argument at this. Was it the beginning of this season, or was it last season?
It was when we were doing the Crawley Town Supporters Association interview.
Yeah, I didn't do it. You did it. I stayed out of it.
I did it. So it must have been less than a year ago then.
It was the back end of last season, I think, or maybe early this season. But yeah, me and Eben had a phone call, and it wasn't a good one. But it was a very being honest from both sides. I think I got where they were coming from, and I still understand where they were coming from, in a sense of there's certain things that they did which, even though people look on them and go, I mean, that was ridiculous. Crawley were losing £1 million a year. They had to find a way to plug that gap, and being non-football people, they were going to try non-football things, and they did. And look, now, like I say, I hope they don't go back. I hope that, I mean, I'm not sure what promotion's worth, but you've got to think, if you've got those big teams in the league above, they've sold 12,000 tickets to Wembley. If they win at Wembley, you've got to feel that they're going to have. I mean, Matt, what does your stadium hold? You've got to feel that they're going to sell out.
Because at the moment Stockport is the lowest away allocation in League One, and that's 900. So Crawley must be.
I don't know what the attendance is. Let's have the Broadfield Stadium.
I think as well, like you say about kind of Eben's reaction, and I think a lot of it was probably pride and frustration, and see it with Ryan and Rob in the earlier seasons of the Wrexham documentary. Like, Ryan sometimes gets a look on his face like, fuck have we done? Like, we're just plowing money into this. And there was probably an awful lot of that, and all the stuff about if we win every game, do you get to skip a league? It was all,
but that wasn't them either.
Tongue in cheek. It was just
but that wasn't them.
That was Andy. What's the face, wasn't it?
I don't even think that was him.
Right.
The issue was there was just so many people doing a little bit of everything, and it was like everybody had their own agenda. And I feel like for a time Preston and Eben weren't on the same page either. Like, Preston had his approach, Eben had his approach. Like we saw with the statement that went out on Eben's Twitter about Matthew Etherington. That was just Eben. That wasn't a joint thing. That was Eben sending that out, and it was like you just feel that maybe there wasn't as much cohesion as there should have been. Let's have. I think now things have calmed down. The club should be able to attract sponsors, etc.
Yeah, I mean the shirts this season was not ideal.
Don't you know? It actually, again, I had that conversation and asked about the sponsorship. They'd made that decision prior to speaking to anybody about shirt sponsorship. But what they'd said was, if an offer came in that was too good to be true, they would take it for the front of shirt sponsorship.
But then they didn't. It was months and months and months for them to have shirts available to buy.
They didn't have any last season.
Yeah.
So no shirts last season. When I went down for the Hartlepool game at home in December last year, year before. So when they were Hartlepool, obviously was still in the league, and they Hartlepool won 2-0. It was the coldest night of my life. It's awful. You could see the frost on the pitch. No one knows how the game got on, but there was no shirts in the shop for sale. Like, it just wasn't a good look. Yeah, my man, that was Bit Futures. No idea his actual name, much like many of the ownership group. They thought they would attract a big blue chip. They had no idea. They did get some offers, but it was more a case of, from what I was told, an offer came in and the conversation was, this was the back end of last season. So when they were in the relegation fight, and it was, if you commit to us now and we stay up, it's X amount. And it was like 100, call it 120,000, which is, I think the average in this league is about 100,000 for a shirt sponsor. If we stay up, it's 100,000. If we go down, it's free. And the big company shit it and didn't dare take it. That was the conversation that I had. And again,
when I sent you pictures of the sponsorship packages that were on sale in the toilets, and they were from 17-18, I think.
Yeah. Which is not a WAGMI issue. That's a Crawley Town problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, because you sent it to me and I didn't even see the date, and I was like, we should do it. Let's inquire. And
it was like, cheap, wasn't it? It'll take me far too long to find it, but I do have it if anyone wants to follow up with the club. Yeah,
and I really hope they have learned that lesson, and it seems like they have. And you know what? It actually makes me really happy to say that, not just that Eben apologised, but that he was with the fans, because that shows how far they've come as a club. The fact that Eben can be with the fans, because there was a time where I didn't think that they would ever be in the same place again without getting hurt.
Yeah. the hiding in the back room and like.
Well, the whole Stevenage thing, and
it's been a journey, Crawley Town fans.
But they've learned. They've learned lessons fucking quick, because there are still clubs in this league now that have had owners for years that are making the same mistakes year in, year out. To see an owner group sort of go, fuck, we balls up, let's change things and make the changes is nice. I mean, look, there's comments here coming in about Swindon Town. Clem bought Swindon the year before Wagme bought Crawley. Look at the state of Swindon right now. Have you seen the latest, by the way?
Don't think so.
So they tried to buy... who was the manager that they've tried to buy out his contract?
Dean Brennan.
Yes. So turns out, no, it wasn't Bromley. That's how Barnet.
Barnet. I'm not. I'm not good with teams beginning with B. If it's not Burnley and Barnsley, then
Well, it wasn't for him to become manager.
It was Gav Gunning's assistant.
And it's come out that Clem himself has been phoning around ex-Swindon players who are now qualified coaches to try and bring them in as Gav Gunning's assistant, because he thinks there's obviously a nostalgia and it'll go really well. I said this earlier to Ben. Me and Ben were talking. I said I fully believe Clem will place that club into administration this season.
Why is he so fixated on Gav Gunning?
Cheap. Gav Gunning's not getting paid any more than he already was. He's getting paid the same amount of money now that he got paid from doing his job prior. He's not taking any extra money. It's not even the fact at this point that they haven't announced a manager. It's the fact that they haven't announced that Gav Gunning is stepping away, which just shows how. I mean, Derek Adams has bolted. He's turned and bolted because he wanted his own coaching team. They wouldn't let him bring his own coaching team. Couldn't afford it, despite Aaron Challoner being a key part of that. People won't get that, but trust me. Fuck me, Swindon Town would have been amazing.
You don't know how lucky an escape you've had.
Yes, you don't know. Oh, but it would have been incredible for the neutrals, Hannah. We would have had the absolute greatest season of our life watching Derek Adams with Aaron Challoner in his coaching staff on the dugout. Every time something happens, Derek stood up touchline, Chal stands up, and Derek's like, "Fucking sit down, will you?" And Chal going back to sit down, and getting back up again. And it would have been awesome. I fucking love it. I can't wait to see it happen because it will happen one day. It's going to be amazing. I've such love for that happening. I actually think he'll do a really fucking good job as well. But it just will be funny because if you saw anyone that you knew, it'd be fucking wild. Look, Swindon are completely shagged right now. They're just not in a good place. The ground's falling to bits. It's just not maintained. Staff aren't getting paid. I
mean, neither's Old Trafford, in fairness. You seen the pictures of Old Trafford yesterday?
Well, did you know this? So the bit that's coming off the roof, so they've named it the Old Trafford Waterfall. Do you know it's actually the 4th largest waterfall in the UK?
What, in terms of drop?
In terms, 52 metres it is from the top to the bottom. It's ranked as the 4th largest waterfall in the UK.
Funny.
It's amazing, isn't it? It was bad. But yeah, Edgeworth as well. CCTV in the toilets. We can go all night talking about that. Hannah was trying her best to cheer Fifey up the other day. He appreciates it, Hannah.
It wasn't very successful though. It got to the point where I was like, yeah, fair. Okay.
Yeah, you kind of get depressed with them, don't you? Yeah, I've tried it with Ben today, and like I was really upbeat, and I'm like, this is gonna happen. And then by the end of it, I was like, "It's fucking shit, is this, Ben? This is awful. Like, why are we doing this?" I'm not even a Swindon fan. We can definitely talk about MK in a minute. We need to because we've got some stuff to talk about there. But Dan's just asked thoughts on the thing I sent you on WhatsApp. So
what was that?
Well, so Bradford City's local paper, the Telegraph and Argus, tweeted out put an article out today saying that Bradford are not interested in Ben Whitfield. That's complete bullshit. That is complete and utter bullshit. But that is. Has there been an offer made? No. But there is interest. There's definitely interest. There's people that won't be interested, but there's people that are definitely interested. It all depends on who's the one making the decisions.
Why would... I mean, it's not normal behaviour either to put a statement or, to comment.
We did the same though about Dion Pereira, Hannah.
Yeah.
And then signed him again. Why? But here's if I'm like I say, I'm going to say if I'm a Bradford fan, I am. So if I'm in a question, if I'm in a position of not knowing anything and just reading that article, I'm reading that article because it's come from the club to the TNA. Someone at the club has told the TNA that there's nothing in it. I'm going, why? Why is there nothing? Why would someone who has been one of the top playmakers in the league the last 2 seasons, for Barrow, no disrespect to Barrow, but for Barrow, why would he not be of interest? He's out of contract. There is no fee involved. He's not. There's no Bosman rule on it, so we don't owe any money. Why would there not even be a slight conversation? What are you interested in? He was born 2 miles away from the ground. His family are season ticket holders. When Barrow came to Bradford this season to play, he had 40 friends and family sat in the crowd. Why would that not be someone you want at your football club? At any football club, if you had that, if you knew of a Stockport County fan that had done what Ben Whitfield had done, and you were sat below them in the table, you'd be questioning if your club weren't interested. It's an easy sell. Doesn't matter, I know there's League One clubs involved. I promise you, if Bradford go to him and say, we'll offer you X, he'll sign.
You don't think it's agent shithousery?
What do you mean?
Well, like, agents stir the pot, some of them, significantly. So, if they wanted to poke Bradford into having conversations, then I don't know. It depends who the source is, doesn't it?
The source is the club. The club have told the TNA. That's what's weird about it. And the thing is, knowing Ben's agent, so he's the same guy that we used to get quite a few interviews back in the beginning. Knowing Ben's agent, he knows Ben's a Bradford lad. He does. And I don't feel like he'd dare poke and stir it.
Right.
Because of the risk of completely ruining it.
Yeah.
But it's so confusing for me. I don't really understand if that's true. And I'm not doubting Simon Parker at the TNA, by the way. Because I do believe he's been told that. But I'm kind of saying, why would we not be interested?
Maybe it was Graham Alexander's agent told him.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. That's not a TNA article, that's a Dick article. Right. Some more questions.
Yeah, but there are there's other slightly like George Ray. There's other departures from Barrow, probably players who, would have liked to have been promoted with Barrow.
George Ray
I don't think he would have expected to, but
George Ray said that he didn't expect to be released.
No, it's maybe with Cole Stockton they've fucked themselves a bit.
Well, he's only on loan, isn't he, Cole Stockton? He's gone back. He was alone, wasn't he? Yeah, he was alone. But let's move on to this, Hannah. What the hell?
Where to start? Although I was struggling before the weekend to pick after I was so successful with Crawley last season, predictions. So, and we said we'd do this, didn't we? We'd have predictions like at the end of the season, and then we'd have predictions again after the transfer window.
So that's next week, isn't it? After the final, we'll do that. Once we
Yeah.
know the 24, we will
Yeah.
ask fans of each club to come on, give us a
So
prediction.
I can see MK Dons walking it next season.
I think that had they lost the playoffs like 2-0 or to a last minute goal or out on penalties, yeah, I think losing 8-1 over 2 legs is going to be demoralising.
They had that weird. They weren't consistent, and they struggled with like particular playing styles throughout the season. So they would be on a perfectly good run, and then we beat them 3-0. Was it 5-0? No, it was 3-0, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then we ball past them when they would.
Yeah. So they've had it in them, and the Crawley zone there's mentioned Max Dean. That kind of petulant reaction, inability to keep your head, is perhaps the kind of not. I mean, I'm absolutely not putting it all on him, but if that is, it's not just him. The others, some of the others are losing their heads as well when they're going so far down. And I like the Wrexham documentary. There is a really nice piece on season 3, episode 3. So the one that came up last week on mental health and football, and it dovetails beautifully into Stockport County beating Wrexham 5-0. But it's that kind of how do you deal with defeat? How do you deal with at half time being 3-0 down? Like, how do you recover from that? And what can you do? You can just carry on and take it, which is simply what happened. But that was absolutely not what Phil Parkinson wanted to see from them. No. So that, if that's a kind of a recurring issue, then they need to.
Petulance is a great way to describe Max Dean. So anyone who didn't see, he basically just a big child during it, and I showed you this video. I'm going to play it for anyone who hasn't seen. Bradford obviously played MK Dons earlier this season. So Max Dean in this video clip is the first person to pass the ball. Just watch him when he gets his shirt pulled. And how he got away with this, I'll never know. But yeah, here we go. Should play it again for those who didn't see it.
You need like a big. That's like, do you know what? I mean, I've got 2 10-year-olds. It's that kind of behavior. They're like. The go with the hand and then go with the like high kick. They're very, lovely young ladies. Ha ha ha. But that's what it's that lashing out without really kind of thinking about the consequences or.
Yeah, but he got away with it, and that's why he does it, because he's got away with it.
Yeah,
like that's
it was
ridiculous.
A proper tantrum about the first leg. At the end, he was kicking off with the referee, just looked
off, didn't it?
Like childish. And then the behaviour on Saturday.
The stamp on Saturday is, I think that will be looked at. That will be looked at and dealt with. And I feel like he'll start next season with a ban. He has to. If they don't, then he's never going to stop and he's never going to learn. He needs a ban for something like that. He needs like a retrospective ban. It needs someone to go, we've looked back, we think you've been an absolute dickhead. You're now going to miss some games because of it. Because at the time, if he gets sent off at the time, it can be put down to the moment. But looking back on it and having them actually go, we've reviewed the footage, we're going to make sure that you're dealt with on this. That's probably one of the best things that could happen to him right now. Yeah. But like you said, he needs someone more experienced to put an arm around him and say, grow the fuck up. You're in a privileged position. You're playing, regardless of how many fans they get, you're playing in a 20,000-seater stadium. You are playing some of the best football in the league when they play. Like, you don't understand, you are in a good position, and he's just Yeah, tantruming, kicking out. Like I say, he did that against us, and no one could believe that nothing happened. But the
No.
thing is, I'm going to play it again. Look where the referee is.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't. And imagine he's looking at the ball, which
You'd
is
see that out of the corner.
oh,
You'd
yeah,
see a swing. Regardless, you might think, was that a kick or a punch?
yeah,
But you'd see that swing.
yeah.
I actually think it's Kev McDonald he's done it on.
And the fact that there isn't
Eat him
contact
alive.
doesn't make much
intention's
difference.
there.
I mean, there is a little bit of contact, I think, but it's not like you say, it's the intent. So this was, someone's just replied to this on because I tweeted about it earlier, and someone else has just replied saying, is it a red card to throwing a bottle at the fans? I mean, the Crewe fans were behind the goal, so they were the Crewe fans that it was going kind of into. But I don't know, it wasn't. It was just.
Would any Donny fan have a single complaint if Lota Tyler had done that? No. If he picked up the Crewe keeper's bottle and thrown it in the crowd, no one would complain from the Donny side. The thing is, and I think it's quite.
But these are both neutral. This is Ian and then Dave Thompson, who are both Stockport County fans.
Being brutally honest, after Lota Tyler getting his red card overturned before the first leg, there's probably a little bit of a hammer. Yeah. But no, I don't think it is. He's not launched it at the fans, has it? He's thrown it up in the air into the fans. They can see it coming. They've got plenty of time.
Maybe they got excited. I'd get excited that I was getting a souvenir. It's like at a gig, isn't it? When Taylor Swift throws a cowboy hat in.
But this is the thing. Like you've then got to look at, okay, so if the ball goes out of play and someone launches it into the crowd, which happens, is that a red card? No, it's not. He might get a card. He might get dealt with afterwards, but at the time, no, you can't do that.
Back to Max Dean. This was incredibly odd behaviour.
Yeah, it was. It was very odd behaviour.
At that point, it was 5-1.
Yeah, 5-1 down, and he's pulling faces at Crawley fans. MK tried everything. They split the Crawley fans. They put them up on the top tier.
But
and it just brought Crawley's team talk. Scott Lindsay knew what, they're trying every little trick, and it didn't work. I think the fact that it was an empty stadium as well was just, it's a semi-final of a playoff. It looked
terrible,
awful.
the optics, didn't it?
Yeah. If it wasn't for Crawley doing what they did, that was a terrible advert for League Two. Fair play to Donny. Here's what someone actually said. They had 15,000, I think, there. Was it? No, it wasn't. It was 12.
12. Yeah, it was 12 total. Yeah.
They got 15,000 capacity. At full time, someone took a picture of the crowd and just put C6,000 EU next season.
Yeah.
It just shows, doesn't it? Like, but MK didn't have that. MK didn't have that boost with people coming in. But that's probably down to 3-0 after the first leg as well. But
you're not pitch invading from up there either, are you? Like Crewe had a pitch invasion. Like there was the Crewe fans pitch invaded at Donny. You're not doing that.
How sore must that have been? Because it's only 3 weeks ago since Donny pitch invaded against Barrow at home.
I'd forgotten about that.
And then they've had to watch another team do it at home. Oh. Crawley's. No one can deny this. Maybe not so much Crewe and Donny, because I feel like they were even. And that's why penalties was probably the fairest result. But Crawley, without a shadow of a doubt, right now, I said it after the first leg. No matter whether it was Crewe or Donny, I wouldn't want to come up against Crawley. And now, I really wouldn't want to come up against Crawley. They've got to be so confident going into Sunday. 12,000 sold. obviously still climbing. You just hope that rubs off, and if they put a performance in, you hope that people will go and buy season tickets, because Crawley has cheap season tickets as well.
Yeah,
I think this season it was like $190.
That Monday night that we played them, they were really, really impressive, and that was our last loss before our kind of little run in. Not loss, draw. Our last non-win before the kind of run in, and then obviously we lost to Wrexham at the end. But they, sat back. They didn't lose their heads. They didn't let us kind of get away with any more. It was.
I think it's a little bit of both, because Crawley were phenomenal, but I don't think that there is an 8-1 gap between the playoff teams on their day. MK were well off it over both legs. Crawley were fucking ruthless.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, it just never looked even, or Crawley were clinical in terms of taking the opportunities in a way that MK Dons just weren't. And I think, when you think about that stat about there's been 4 teams that have come back from a 2-0 deficit, how many teams have come back from a 3-0 deficit?
Yeah.
So that must have been a hard game to go into.
And I think finishing 7th is the advantage in the playoffs. I really think, because you've got if you're going into it on the last game of the season fighting to get into it, MK were there. MK knew that they were there. They knew that they couldn't be touched. The next 2 teams, your Doncasters and your Crewe, they knew that there were multiple chances for them to get in. There were multiple outcomes that would result in them getting in. Crawley needed.
Yeah.
There was one set of results that would push Crawley into it, and they got it. And I feel like that momentum then drags you through those playoffs. And even when they got in, people were writing Crawley off. Before kickoff last Tuesday, people were writing Crawley off. People still were writing Crawley off after the first leg, expecting MK to come back. But I'm buzzing for this Sunday now.
I'm trying to think of my top Wembley tips from last year. So last year, Wealdstone FC host a team in each half of the finals. But I looked on their Twitter earlier on, and they've not announced anything, because they've got enormous fields at the side of the ground where they park. I think it was like a £5, maybe not even that. And then they've got the bar and the food, and then it's like a 10-minute walk to the tube station. It's straight on to Wembley, and then in. So if they make that available, that's definitely worth looking at, because it's cheaper than car parking closer to the ground. And it's just it was a really nice atmosphere. A lot of the coaches went there, and it was good. I definitely recommend that if they do it. Other than that, my dad reckons that he paid. I've been done proper research for this. I've asked around, because parking at Wembley is like 40 quid. It's obscene.
No, drive to Watford.
Yeah, so again, parking near tube stations and getting in. Ruislip's a good one. It's got a good big car park.
So we parked at Watford for the overground.
Yeah.
And we got the train straight to Wembley.
It
was really cheap.
There's Wembley Park and Wembley. So one's kind of over by the arena, and then there's the other one where you get to walk up the Wembley Way and buy your half and half scarf.
No. Just before we move off of MK, I said this the other week, Ian, about MK when we played, that MK have one style, and they are, when it works, it's very good, but they don't have a plan B, and they stick to the style. The substitutions are like for like. They don't go, right, we're going to change it up, we're going to bring a little man off, put a big man up top, we're going to go long ball. They don't. They stick to that same style, and it's always, if it isn't working, it's never going to work in that game. And that's where they kind of struggled. You can answer this one, Hannah. Crewe have only sold 8,000 today. Interesting compared to Crawley.
So Crewe isn't. So I like. It's generally. I mean, I got quite a lot of abuse from Crewe fans last season for commenting on their home attendance, and the extenuating factors, according to Crewe, are that it is a small town, as in the population is relatively small. It is kind of similar in, it's not that far from Liverpool, City, United, like Stockport is to a certain extent. And historically, because of the way that the railway kind of industry was centered around Crewe, there are lots of people who would kind of come in and work there and go away. So there wasn't this kind of big football community around the club. So doesn't necessarily surprise me. What I would say though is Crewe have only had only put them on sale to people with previous purchase history, whereas Crawley's are on general sale. So anyone who is a neutral would have been able to buy tickets for the Crawley end today, but wouldn't have been able to buy them for Crewe. So that, will have had some of an impact as well.
So you'll have the neutral fans as well who will want you to win. Being honest, they will want you to win because and look,
everyone loves an underdog story.
Everyone loves a fairy tale, and we've got a fairy tale this season at this point, and it ain't fucking Wrexham. Do you know what? I saw an interview with Ryan Reynolds earlier today, and it pissed me off. It pissed me right off because he was on a TV show in America, and they asked him about how the football team's going. He says, "Yeah, we've just got promoted. We're in League One. This is when it gets hard." You finished second, mate. You didn't even win this league, and you almost fucking balls that up as well.
And they very, very nearly came third.
Yeah, and this is where it gets hard. No, you've proven it's been hard since day one. You failed twice to get promoted from the National League. Like, have some respect. Like, that's what people's issues are. Stephen, yes, we are both coming to the game on Sunday with Harry.
And Stephen, I've already shown Liam my receipts from the text message that you sent me last year saying, "I think I've just cursed your team."
Yes.
I've not forgotten it. You'll be getting another one. Just
at the same moment.
Yeah, you might be 3-0 up, but you'll get a text message saying, "I think I've just cursed your team." But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I love football. I've loved all the playoff finals because there's no jeopardy. I don't, I have teams that I would prefer to win, but I don't really care either way. Yeah. It's so nice.
And that's in comparison to the championship playoffs, which are supposed to be the big money ones and the most important ones. Both first legs finished 0-0. The highlight of the two games was a Leeds fan getting his throat cut.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he's been arrested and charged as a bloke.
Have they? Right. Oh, that's
yeah.
So
yeah, look, we League Two, best league in the world. We've been asked how many you think Crawley are bringing.
Well, the bit, because I was kind of digging around looking at tickets earlier, and the club has said that they've got initial allocation of 15,000, but they can go up to
38. I think they'll take about 18, 19.
I think we took 15 last year. I can't remember. I remember people being dicks about it and being like,
It was a low attendance final. But
it was shit though, wasn't it? Like, it was a shit
final. Shit.
It was a shit day. I mean, the only thing that you can claim is that you get value for money for 120 minutes plus penalties.
Yeah. But, yeah. This is what it is. And we are Crawley end, by looks of things. We're sitting with the Crawley fans.
In my half and half stuff.
Anna's sitting bang on halfway, and she's just going to hold it over the.
No, I have no allegiance to Crewe at all whatsoever. No, none. I was just. It makes me laugh that just the half and half scarves make me laugh.
Have Crewe or Crawley got the home end?
No, Crawley are west.
Which I don't know is the home end. I can't. I don't know if that's the home end or not.
I think I can't even remember. I think we were west. Oh yeah, Matt. But Matt's never allowed to go to Wembley ever again. So Matt lives in Florida and spent $2,000 to fly from Florida to watch the shit show that was. Yeah. At least he wouldn't have minded the heat so much because I bloody struggled.
A question for you all though. Given what's happened this season, are you happy with what happened last season?
Generally, or Crawley fans?
No, Stockport.
Oh, Stockport.
Given what you've done this season, do you feel like you are happier now than you would have been had you won that playoff final?
So lots of people say yes. They say that we needed the consolidation. I think we probably
you needed to stop going forward. You needed a stumbling block.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think we probably would have been fine in League One.
But do you think you'll be like do you think you'll do better going into League One now than you would have done last season going to League One? You think you're better equipped now?
Yeah, we're better equipped. You've got that. We've had that time. So you going into League One, not out of the playoffs. They're more rested. They've already been on holiday and are back on holiday again. I think we've got players that there's not going to be that whole. Well, not that we really had it this season, to be honest. There's not going to be massive turnover players, and they're players that we would have had to a certain extent, maybe. I don't know. I think we will have a stronger first season in League One, undoubtedly, than we would have done if we'd have gone up last year. I think like mid-table is fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm fine with that. People at the club want like 10th-ish. That's like just outside playoffs.
Yeah. I've just had another bite from a Donny fan, which just they just keep coming.
You know what though? Like what I will say about the Donny fans, and kind of this is me looking at it like slightly. I didn't really engage with much of it on Saturday because I was busy. But some of them have owned it, haven't they? And they've been like, completely deserved. Not the loss, but completely deserved. Get all the shit that they'd said thrown back at them. Some of them have doubled down and have proven themselves to be really horrific individuals. But
did you see the DM I got?
Yeah, well, yeah, because
and I've been accused of making up that Donny fans are getting personal with me.
No,
and then I received a DM on Friday with my full name on, telling me that if I tweet one more time, he's going to make it personal. And then when I screenshot it and send it to the person who's accusing me of lying, they just fucking shut up and don't respond. That's the sort of people that we're dealing with. But here's the thing. They've got to stick around for another season, and they'll be here on every single 606. And when I just don't let them in because I can't be asked with that drama. And I'm not saying this to every Donny fan. There's got a lot of Donny fans that I really have a lot of time for, and those guys will still be allowed in, and I'm happy to have those conversations with. But there is a couple that I'm just fed up with. The fact is, you've shit the bed. You've given stick. You were all talking about how the playoffs were done and you were winning, and talking about how you were going to smash at MK or Crawley, and you didn't. And now we're kind of like people booking hotels and someone selling a train
Maybe
ticket.
someone will sell me a hotel booking. I haven't thought about that.
You get a really cheap one now because there's loads of cancellations. But this, and that's why I kind of responded to it. Was Tom, who runs the I can never remember which page he runs, but he runs one of the Donny pages. He said, "Fair play to those giving me stick. I deserve it. Like I've given it out." And I said, "That's how it should be. Like you've given it. We've sat. We've had to listen to it.
Yeah,
and
now
we're gonna have a bit of fun."
Not that I'm stalking the DMs for the Lower League Look account, but there's been a fair amount of discourse, and it's been like, oh yeah, Bradford a shit, like.
Yeah, well, but I've never argued back with those comments. I'm like, yeah, fine. It's like just now. So a Crewe fan, basically, they were having issues on the website. People were trying to buy tickets, and it was saying this event is not yet available to you.
Yeah, well, this is this purchase history thing. So that's the same message that I was getting when I was trying to buy tickets for the first leg.
But these are season ticket holders. So and they tweeted saying, anyone else getting this one trying to buy tickets, even though they're a season ticket holder? And I replied, Donny fans. And he's replied going, you're funny, aren't you? Don't know why Bradford fans are speaking. Can't even see where your playoff spot is, to be honest. And I've just said, I wouldn't brag, pal. Yours is in the bin. And he's put where you sitting at Wembley? Oh yeah, at home.
But Leon's 100% right. Like I mean, I know that I'm kind of a little bit more pessimistic than a lot of football fans, but all of the we're going to get promoted chants, all of that, I couldn't bring myself to sing them until like after Colchester, and then the winning the league ones. I remember it being sung at Notts, because I spoke to you at half time at Notts County when we were, I don't know, 2-3-0 up, and then I was like, yes, I can. Like, I think I can bring myself to sing it, and then it went shit, and I could just see it. I was like, that's because I sang the song. No,
it's never over. Like he said, you never boast till it's over, because it'll bite you in the ass. And you see with Donny fan, like in the build up to the second leg, it showed Crewe fans coming in, and they were very. You could see
they were there to support their team, weren't they? Like they were.
Donny fans had the shirts off, chanting about League One on the drum, and it's like that was like
League One,
yeah. But I've said this to Donny fans for a while when they were talking about doing this, and then when they were talking about how they can push on next season. Stop setting yourself up, because when you fucking fail, and every single time they have failed, we're there. And we remember it. And this is the thing. They've accused me of saying stuff about Grant McCann, but none of them have the proof. None of them have the tweets. We have the tweets of what they've said. And that's why
we'll have the audio as well. If anyone, I can't even be asked. Yeah. But it was, we talked about it on a podcast. But, I was talking to other people on Saturday who, do commentary and things like that. And they said, you know what, I would have said exactly the same, and I would have said it later. So when we beat them 5-0, 5-1, 5-1, because I think I remember cheering a Donny goal. It was that was a kind of a managerial fuck up in lots of ways, and it lots of other clubs that would have been the final nail, and actually it was kind of, I think it was their last really poor result before they started turning things around. Maybe it was exactly what they needed. I don't know.
I'm going to say something now, and they're probably going to jump on it, but again, and it's similar to what happened earlier in the season, they've let their club off too fucking lightly.
Oh, I disagree. I think you don't
think taking a 2-0 lead into the second leg and shitting the bed at home in front of your biggest crowd in years. I'm not saying that they should be rioting in the streets, but they should be going, come on. What the fuck happened?
I think they massively. So there was the kind of the position that they expected to be in the beginning, and then there was the position when they were 22nd in the league, and they massively overachieved against that 22nd in the league. And to have that kind of tenacity, that level of turnaround to finish in playoffs, that for me is
To finish in the
a
playoffs,
win.
That's a win. But to take a 2-0 lead into the second leg and lose it at home, I'm not saying, like I say, I'm not saying that they should be kicking off, but they should be saying, what happened? Why did we not show up? Why did these players that have come in the second half of the season and been phenomenal shit the bed? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not, again, it's not a thing of, right, people need to be sacked, people need to lose jobs. It's a question of why? Why are we not going to Wembley this week? What went wrong?
And arguably, what went wrong was, as you've said, that they weren't more clinical in the first half and, had gone into it comfortably. And, Crewe had too much space, but they were much more controlling in the second half, the same way that they were at home.
Do you think that Donny, since they started this run, this second half of the season, no one's come back after going behind by 2 goals? Again, like when Donny have gone to Donny have just kind of kept control. Do you feel like we were sat watching it, we didn't expect Crewe to score that early on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they were a bit shell-shocked about the fact, because it never happened to them?
Yeah, and I suppose it depends as well whether you do actually in lots of ways look at it as the second half or as a new game. Because it was, like, in lots of ways it wasn't coming from behind, because they got a different Crew, and they've maybe been lucky with some of the teams that they've played. Leon said, and I remember it, like, they weren't incredible against Wrexham. Wrexham just weren't on form that day. And that's what Donny in the past have capitalized on.
I've got a good example here. Like, some Bradford fans were hounding Hughes out after the playoff loss. The thing with the playoff loss for us is that you can pinpoint the moment where it went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pinpoint the moment where it went wrong for Donny. It just went wrong, and immediately people were jumping online to post defenses of it. And it's like, okay, I get that you were 22nd in January. That's fine, but you got there. You went 10 wins in a row. Like, to kind of collapse in on yourself and take a massive step back it's questionable to understand what went on in training in those few days prior. Was it as intense as it had been in the build up? Did players think that they were through? Did they take the foot off a little bit? Was it just that they underestimated them? Like, what was it? I still can't work out.
It could have been all sorts of different things, and it could have been complacency. It could have been, exhaustion to a certain extent, and they were starting to lose momentum at the end. I mean, they drew their last game of the season, so was that actually when it went wrong? And they were lucky with Crewe, who were atrocious that Monday.
Crewe were horrific. Fuck you, Ian. Spot on, but fuck you, Ian.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. We went on a 6-game unbeaten run and then lost 2, and they wanted Alexander out. Then when we lost the second 2 after that, it was 4 losses. They wanted him out again. Then we won we won 6, drew 1 of the last 7 games of the season. So a Donny fan I was talking to earlier was saying, like, imagine he thinks that both clubs will go on runs next season. I'm like, we're on a run. Unfortunately, the season ended. Like, if we'd done it a month earlier, we'd have got in. mean, it is what it is, isn't it? We didn't do enough over the 46 games, and that's kind of what we're at.
That's a good point as well. Crewe had less to lose going into it. So, and Donny perhaps didn't realise or the risk of, it being a kind of a fragile lead at 2-0. But if
McCann should have had them Donny feeling it's 0-0.
Yeah.
Lee Bell had them saying it's half time.
Yeah.
We're 2-0 down at half time.
Yeah, you're right.
McCann should have been saying it's 0-0. We've got to get. We need a 1-0 win. That's all we need, lads. 1-0 win.
They should have done a Gillingham, where they just sit back, like everyone behind the ball. It's risky because if you get caught on the counter, then.
Yeah, they're just something went wrong, and pinpointing where it went wrong, and I think. Yeah, look, they're going to jump all over anything I say, regardless. So it's fine by me. But yeah, I'd love to know what went wrong and what the team talk was at halftime, and then what the team talk was, what the final team talk was after the game. What was said before extra time? What was said before the penalties? Because, it's disappointing. It must be so disappointing for Donny fans, but they've kind of got to point that disappointment at something, and it's just.
And the irony that it was Adelaide at the end, after arguably has made the kind of single biggest contribution in that run in terms of goal scoring, for him to be the one that. Well, he didn't miss, did he? But it was his penalty.
Saved, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, I did drink it in, Hannah.
I think Harry did some drinking in as well.
Harry drinking enough for all of us, but I was drinking in the Donny performance. Yeah. Well, have we got what else we need to talk about? What else?
No, I was just going to show you a photo. Let me see if I can find. So this is there's only one Steve Bellis cocktail.
What's it got in it?
Honestly, I don't know. But the guy who owned the bar had named this cocktail. And then because I was driving, that was my role in the whole trophy tour. And so he made me a mocktail version of it. I think it was coconut and pineapple, and it was nice. So that's what I was drinking in on.
I'm gonna have I've got some pineapple juice now. I'm gonna have a little pineapple juice.
I think it definitely had something blue in it, but it can't have been Curacao. The alcoholic one did. But yeah, it was good.
Well, it's been fun. We've covered a hell of a lot. Yeah, we've covered a hell of a lot. But we have one more game of the season left, Hannah, and then it is.
August the 10th. It'll be we'll have pre-season. This is my favourite bit now. You get transfer shenanigans. You get new kits, pre-season.
I know where our pre-season tour is, Hannah.
Do you?
Yes. I can't tell you now, but I will tell you.
All right. We're playing Derby. Did I tell you that?
Yes.
Yeah, on the Friday, so that's exciting. But so whenever, because there weren't that many people that went to Spain last season, so people tend to know the people that went. And every pub I went into, they're like, "You're going to Spain? You're going to Spain?" Like, yes. Which hotel are you staying at? Oh, I'm staying there. So
I'll speak to you afterwards. I nearly said something then. Yes, we've got all that to look forward to, and it's silly season, isn't it? So we'll be doing some little stuff. We're going to do some. We're going to do some little videos based on retained lists, and reactions to retained lists. But we kind of need everyone to make their things.
we should have filmed me live reading our release and retain list at Crewe.
That was fucking funny. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was funny. Harry felt bad. I was just like, this is amazing. Just this, it was so funny because I knew what was coming.
Harry was just like, when we were at Colchester, my brother's mate was sat next to me, and then my brother, and I'm there in absolute floods of tears because, failing a mathematical disaster, we were going up. And Alex, who's also, my brother's also called Alex, but his mate was like, sort your sister out, like, emotional woman, I can't be doing with this. And Harry had exactly the same look on his face, like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah. But we did have a good Taco Bell.
Yeah.
But other than that, guys, we will see you over the summer. And we are guesting on Fools Rush In as well, aren't we, Hannah, over the summer?
Yes. So Fifey was saying earlier on about my referencing the Disney documentary. That's because I will also be taking part in the Fools Rush In Disney evening.
Yes. We are doing
the secret, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. He tweeted it.
All right,
we're doing the Marvel one.
Oh, I'm also doing musicals. And then on the 20th of May, so the day after the final, it's like a lead to... Yes, a week today. God, it doesn't start till 9 o'clock. I'll be knackered.
Yeah, it's League 2, like, wrap up. It's like the end of the season, everyone getting together, having a bit of a chat. That'll be fun. So we won't be live next Monday, but we will be live on there. We'll share it out on ours at the same time if you want. We'll push it out.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And but yeah, I enjoyed it. We're going to do some changes this summer as well. We think out some like restructuring.
That sounds official.
It is official.
And safe travels to everyone going on Sunday or Saturday if you're going to watch the League One playoff finals, Oxford and Bolton.
Yeah.
Yeah, and up the town.
Up the town. Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Up the internet's team.